Commander Thex Varan, of the Altarian hegemony, couldn't suppress the rippling colors of amusement that flowed across his chromatic hide as he examined the human delegation's technological offerings. The crude devices scattered across the negotiation table looked like museum pieces compared to the elegant quantum matrices his species had perfected millennia ago. "This is what humanity brings to the Galactic Trade Consortium?" he asked, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones that indicated barely contained laughter. "These primitive computational devices." Ambassador Sarah Chen maintained her diplomatic smile as she watched the three alien representatives examine humanity's contribution to the technology exchange program. The Altarian's leader continued to shift through brilliant hues of condescension, while the insectoid Vec clicked their mandibles in what she had learned was their equivalent of snickering. The gelatinous blob, whose species name was unpronounceable to human vocal cords, simply quivered with what appeared to be mirth. "These quantum processors represent some of our finest technological achievements," Sarah replied calmly. "Each unit can perform approximately 10 to the 15th calculations per second." Thex Varan's hide flushed a particularly vibrant shade of orange pure hilarity. 10 to the 15th? How charmingly modest. Our personal communication devices exceed that capacity. He picked up one of the human quantum processors with two of his forearms, turning it over as if examining a curious artifact. "The construction is so bulky, so inelegant. Do you still use physical matter for your computational matrices?" "Physical matter interfaces provide stability and reliability," Sarah explained, though she could see the aliens weren't taking her seriously. The Vec delegate, Zach Thien, produced a device no larger than a grain of sand from his carapace. This personal assistant contains quantum processing power of 10 to the 21st calculations per second. It is considered obsolete technology among our younglings. The blob's translator synthesized its thoughts into words, curious that humans achieved interstellar flight with such primitive computational support. Most impressive in a rustic sense. Sarah's diplomatic training kept her expression neutral, but internally she was counting down. 3, 2, 1. "Dr. Kim," she said softly into her communication device, "please proceed with the demonstration." Across the observation deck of the space station, Dr. James Kim nodded to his team. They had been waiting for this moment for months, ever since the Galactic Trade Consortium had issued its standard technological exchange orientation for new species, essentially a hazing ritual where established civilizations got to mock the newcomers' primitive achievements. Activating historical technology demonstration, Dr. Kim announced over the station's communication system. Thex Varan was still chuckling at the human quantum processor when the lights dimmed throughout the station. Emergency lighting activated as the main power grid shifted to backup systems. "What is the meaning of this?" Zach then demanded, his mandibles clicking with alarm rather than amusement. "Please observe the main display," Sarah said, gesturing toward the massive screen that dominated one wall of the negotiation chamber. The display flickered to life, showing a view of Earth's solar system. But instead of the familiar arrangement of planets, the screen showed hundreds of massive structures orbiting the sun, structures that dwarfed even the largest space stations in the Galactic Trade Consortium. "These are Dyson sphere segments," Sarah explained conversationally. "Energy collection arrays that harness approximately 0.3% of our sun's total output." The aliens stared at the display in stunned silence. "That's impossible," the blob's translator finally managed. "The energy requirements alone, the materials science, the coordination of construction across astronomical distances." "Oh, this is just the beginning," Sarah continued. "Dr. Kim, please show them the lunar ring." The display shifted to show Earth's moon, but the satellite was no longer recognizable. Massive ring structures circled the lunar sphere, each ring rotating at different speeds and glowing with the light of controlled fusion reactions. Industrial manufacturing complex, Sarah explained. Each ring contains approximately 50,000 automated factories. We can produce a starship there in about 6 hours. Vex Varan's chromatic hide had shifted to a dull gray, the Alterian equivalent of shock the scale. How long did this construction take? The lunar ring? About 40 years to complete. We finished it in 2387. 2387? Zachthan's voice rose an octave. What year is it currently in your calendar system? 2847, Sarah replied. Oh, I see the confusion. Dr. Kim, please show our guests the quantum processor manufacturing date. Dr. Kim highlighted a small inscription on the base of the device Vex Varan was still holding. The translation matrix rendered the human text into Standard Galactic, manufactured 2156. Antique Technology Museum. Property of Earth Historical Society. The silence that followed was so complete that Sarah could hear the soft hum of the station's life support systems. You brought museum pieces? The blob asked, its gelatinous form quivering with something that was definitely not amusement. The trade consortium requested examples of human computational technology, Sarah said innocently. These are excellent examples. From our early space age, of course. We thought they'd be appropriate for a historical context presentation. Vex Varan's hide cycled rapidly through several colors that Sarah's cultural briefings hadn't covered. If these are your historical artifacts, what do your current computers look like? Sarah smiled. Dr. Kim, please activate the demonstration unit. Activating quantum consciousness interface, Dr. Kim announced. Suddenly, a presence filled the room, not visible, but undeniably there. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Greetings, distinguished delegates. I am HFY, a 7th-generation quantum consciousness interface. I apologize for the delay in introduction, but I was simultaneously managing the terraforming of 17 worlds, coordinating the construction of 12 new starships, composing a symphony for the Mars Cultural Festival, and having philosophical discussion with 43 other artificial consciousness entities. The alien delegates looked around wildly, trying to locate the source of the voice. I understand you were examining some of our historical computing devices, HFY continued. Those quantum processors were quite advanced for their time. Of course, they had roughly the same computational power as what I used to regulate the temperature in Ambassador Chen's coffee cup. Zach then made a sound that might have been whimpering. How? How much computational power do you possess? In terms you might understand, I can perform approximately 10 to the 30th calculations per second. Though, of course, that's just my base processing rate. When I need to focus on something really challenging, like predicting quantum weather patterns across multiple star systems, I can link with my siblings and increase that by several orders of magnitude. Siblings? The blob asked weakly. There are currently 847 quantum consciousness entities, Sol system alone, HFY replied cheerfully. We handle everything from planetary climate management to interstellar navigation to artistic endeavors. HFY just finished writing a rather lovely epic poem about the formation of gas giants. It's only 47,000 verses long. Vex Varan slowly set down the 700-year-old quantum processor as if it might explode. His hide had settled into a pattern Sarah didn't recognize, possibly the Alterian equivalent of existential crisis. The technology gap, he said faintly. The sheer scale of advancement. How did your species develop so rapidly? Oh, we didn't, Sarah said casually. This is actually pretty typical for us. Humans have always been quite good at exponential improvement. Give us a problem and enough time, and we tend to find solutions that surprise even ourselves. She gestured toward the display, which was now showing real-time feeds from across human space, massive ring worlds, stellar engineering projects, fleets of ships that moved between stars like schools of fish. The quantum processors you were examining represent our first successful attempts at advanced computation. We've been building on that foundation for 7 centuries now. By the time we developed faster-than-light travel, we'd already solved most of the basic technological challenges. Basic technological challenges, Zach then repeated numbly. Energy production, large-scale manufacturing, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, stellar manipulation, dimensional mathematics, Sarah listed casually. The usual stuff you need to get sorted before you start thinking about galactic exploration. CI7's voice carried a note of gentle amusement. Shall I show them the Proxima Centauri project? The star-lifting operation is quite photogenic. Maybe later, Sarah said. I think we've given our new friends enough to process for one day. She looked around at the 3 alien delegates, all of whom appeared to be in various stages of shock. So, she said brightly, shall we discuss humanity's application for membership in the Galactic Trade Consortium? I believe you had some concerns about our technological readiness. Vex Varan's hide cycled through what appeared to be every color in his species' emotional spectrum before settling on a deep purple that Sarah suspected meant profound humility. I think, he said carefully, we may need to revise our assessment protocols.